China's President Xi Jinping is set to secure a historic third term in power. Yesterday, a week-long meeting opened in Beijing where Xi spoke for nearly 2 hours, at one point warning that when it comes to Taiwan, China will, quote, never promise to renounce the use of force. He added, complete reunification of China, quote, must be realized. Our next guest are members of the House Armed Services Committee who just returned from a visit to Guam, the Philippines, and Taiwan. They warned that time is running out for the United States to prepare itself and allies for a possible war with China. Republican Congressman Michael Waltz of Florida and Democratic Congressman Seth Moulton of Massachusetts join us now, and thank you very much. I think a lot of Americans right now are thinking about our engagement and help second-handedly in the war in Ukraine. And the two of you would like to bring to the forefront the concept of escalation with China. Is the U.S. prepared for escalation? Seth, I'll start with you.
No, frankly, we're not. We're working very hard to get prepared, and we saw amazing examples of that from the troops that we met on the ground in the Pacific. But as a nation, we're not ready. And Xi Jinping has made it very clear that he wants to have this war. And what Americans need to understand is that we don't have a plan to fight this war through the Taiwans, the way we're fighting Ukraine through the Ukrainians. If they go to war and we're there to stop them, a lot of Americans are going to die. That's why we have to prevent this war from ever happening.
Congressman Waltz, what signs did the two of you see and hear about in your travels that lead you to believe that escalation is sooner than the U.S. is either prepared for or thinks will happen?
Yeah, thanks, Mika. Let's just listen to Chairman Xi's words right now as he seeks to essentially become a 21st century emperor in China with an unprecedented third term. He's telling his country to prepare for war. He's undergoing a massive military buildup. The Chinese Navy is now larger than the U.S. Navy. Their Space Force is launching more than we are, and they have a massive nuclear modernization. And he's telling his military to be ready to stop the United States from intervening by 2027. And I think the most important thing is we have to communicate why this matters so much to the American people. If China controls Taiwan and invades Taiwan and takes it successfully, it will then essentially control the shipping and trade into Japan, South Korea, Malaysia, Indonesia, Philippines, Australia. It will essentially then control, through the Chinese Communist Party, 50% of global GDP, and will be a major step towards Xi's dream to become the global superpower, not a superpower, but the superpower. And Seth's absolutely right. We have to stop that big step from ever happening, because it will make Ukraine and the devastation that's happening there, the effect on the global economy will be exponentially more devastating.
So, Congressman Moulton, we believe that President Biden will have his first face-to-face with Xi Jinping sometime next month, likely at the G20 in Bali. What message does he need to deliver about Taiwan, but also economic issues?
Well, he needs to deliver a message that America is here to stop them from invading Taiwan, that we're not messing around in the same way that Xi has said that he's not messing around, that he plans to go to war. On the economic front, we need to make it clear that the economic consequences to China will be massive, that if they undertake this invasion, the entire world community will come together in the same way we did to stop Russia and put a stop to all the Chinese growth that they've been seeing. I think part of deterrence here has to be economic, but I also think we need to develop more of a clear deterrence plan. I think that's one of the things we were looking at in the Pacific that didn't seem as mature as it needs to be. The preparations to go to war and to win a war against China have to translate into deterrence to prevent a war from happening. And let's all admit, as well as the war in Ukraine is going for us and the Ukrainians right now, deterrence failed. It failed completely. We didn't stop this war before it happened, and that's what we have to do with Taiwan.
So, Congressman Waltz, a moment ago, you laid out the economic ramifications if China were to take Taiwan, as you say, control all the shipping lanes. So this is a great worry for that region. Talk to us a little bit about what you're hearing from our allies there, Japan, South Korea, obviously leaders in Taiwan, who are concerned not just about the China threat, but suddenly a resurgent North Korea who seems to be launching rockets by the day.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. I think there are growing levels of concerns across our allies. There's still some question, though, of whether they would be fully on board with the United States using their airspace and their territory, as we would need to defeat a Chinese invasion of Taiwan. Much as we are using Poland and Germany, our allies in Romania, that's very clear with the NATO alliance as we help Ukraine defend its democracy. There's not that same structure and those same commitments in the Pacific to help Taiwan on its front line of democracy. And so I think that those alliances are something that we need to shore up. Logistics will be exponentially harder across the Pacific. That's double the size of the Atlantic Ocean to support them. That's another issue that Representative Bolton and I will take a hard look at as we provide oversight. But at the end of the day, again, Xi is very clear that he will take Taiwan one way or another. And Seth is right in that we have to deter that from happening. Every time Xi believes he is ready militarily, he has to look at Taiwan, look at the Pacific, look at our alliances and the United States military and say this will cost us too much and hopefully continue to delay that action.
Congressman Michael Waltz and Seth Moulton, thank you both very much for being on the show this morning.